All across America, bees are dying. We need to help them. Here's the details.
Scientists studying the massive global bee die-off have unearthed a slew of evidence on the devastation across the food chain caused by the most widely used pesticide on Earth, neonicotinoids. Once they enter the water supply, neonicotinoids wipe out dragonflies, snails, and other waterborne life. The few hardy species that survive are left so toxic that they're killing birds, and Lowe's and Home Depot are putting this toxic product right in our backyards. The European Food Safety Authority just imposed a 2-year ban on neonicotinoids. It's a bold step taken to avert a new silent spring. With up to a third of all honeybees vanishing each winter, beekeepers are saying that we are on the brink of not being able to pollinate all our crops. Lowe's and Home Depot still stock their shelves with neonicotinoid pesticides, spreading the ecosystem-destroying toxin to homes and gardens across the United States. As consumers, we need to demand that these retailers pull the devastating pesticides from their shelves. Tell Home Depot and Lowe's to stop stocking neonicotinoids. Bayer and other pesticide manufacturers are shoveling cash at lobbyists in order to continue selling their poisonous products. But we're not here to protect corporate profits, we're here to protect our ecosystem to ensure our future. The first thing we need to do is take this devastating toxin out of our own neighborhoods. One of the reasons these pesticides are so toxic is that they don't simply coat the surface. Neonicotinoids are absorbed into the plant itself. Honeybees that stop by later to pollinate the crops quickly accrue a lethal dose in their systems as they wander from flower to flower. The neurotoxin scrambles their system of navigation and other critical parts of the bee's brains. Even when it doesn't kill the bees outright, neonicotinoids alter immune system function in bees, making them more vulnerable to parasitic infections that are spreading through bee populations like wildfire. Major retailers don't care what type of pesticides they sell, only what type of pesticides their customers will buy. If we send Lowe's and Home Depot, the nation's 2 largest home and garden superstores, a loud, clear message, we can get these toxic products off their shelves and out of our backyards, and get smaller retailers around the country to follow suit. Tell Home Depot and Lowe's to get rid of the bee-killing neonicotinoids.
Why grow homegrown strawberries? Strawberries are one of the most heavily pesticide-doused plants. We need to grow our own strawberries so we know that there's no harmful pesticides on them. Furthermore, if you're eating strawberries in the wintertime, you're eating strawberries that have been shipped from far away to your local store. Strawberries are a summer fruit. Eat it fresh, right off the plant. It doesn't take much space to grow strawberries. You can even grow them vertically. You put them in a strawberry pot, a pot just designed for strawberries. It has holes on the side and a hole at the top. So you can put the strawberries in. You can put 10 strawberry plants in one pot. And how many pots can you have? Why, even if you live in an apartment, if you have a balcony or a north-facing window, you can put the pots by the window. You put a table by the window, put the pots on the table. Fresh, local food. Another thing that has been pointed out to me and is a possibility is that you live in your area. And your area has a certain requirement. If you eat the plants that grow in your area, you are getting what you need for your area. there is so much to be gotten from locally grown food. You're growing up in your area, and so are the plants. And if you eat the plants that's growing in your area, you are getting not only freshness and nutrition from your area, you are also ensuring that the food that you eat is treated with respect and is not doused with herbicides and pesticides and other toxic chemicals. Wildlife all around the world are losing habitat. We are really tearing down paradise and putting up a parking lot. So where do the deer and the rabbits and all the other animals go to live? Even birds are losing places to nest, as many birds like to nest in thickets, in hedges, in bushes, and out in the wild. We are tearing these down. All the farmland that you see is flat, and it doesn't have any ground cover. It doesn't have any bushes or hedges growing on the land. It's all useless after the harvest. The acreage just lies there or lays there till the next planting season. So it's just barren all winter. And you got to remember, when you're warm and cozy in your house, the animals outside are having to suffer through the cold and the winter. And when you see an inch or 2 inches or 6 inches of snow, that's inconvenient for you. For most of us, it's just an inconvenience. But for the animals, it can mean the difference between life and death. Finding food in the winter is top priority, and it is not like in the summertime when there's food coming on all season long. Winter is the time when the food gets really scarce. And if you can put some hedges on your property that bear berries, that have berries on them, that have fruit on them, when you go to pick the apples off your apple tree, leave a few apples. For the animals, same way with all your fruit trees, leave a few so that the animals during the winter can access them. You can grow bird seed. That's right, the seeds that you go to the grocery store or to the nursery or to the pet store, and you buy this bird food to put out in your bird feeders. This is seed, so you can grow your own seed. If you have room, grow some sunflowers. Save the heads. Put them out during the winter time when the birds can eat the sunflower seeds. You can take some of the bird seed that you get and plant those seeds in an area in your yard. For instance, if your bird seed has some grass seed in it, some kind of grass seed, put that out in your garden, a portion of your garden, and grow that plant, which will get a seed head on it, and the birds will come and feed on the seed head. You got to remember, when it's cold outside at night, birds shiver to keep warm, and they use a tremendous amount of energy. So while it's a good idea to put out bird feed at your bird feeder, it's also a good idea to grow your own bird seed and plant this crop designed to feed the birds. And your bushes can have berries on it that birds eat. You can get hedges that have berries on them that the birds eat, and they will eat them throughout the winter. And the habitat also helps protect the animals against the harsh winds and the harsh cold. So we can plan our landscape and our garden to help the wildlife. Why should we help the wildlife? Well, diversity of life for one thing. But as an example, the birds will eat the insects, the mosquito that's buzzing around your head. Birds eat mosquitoes. So if you want to get rid of mosquitoes, you can, first of all, eliminate the water that they're living in, but also you can attract birds to your yard, and the birds eat the mosquitoes. And there's all kinds of insects that the birds eat. There's all kinds of other pests that other animals eat. So it's good to attract wildlife to your property. We have all manner of wildlife on our property. And it is a joy to sit out and watch the activities of the wildlife all around us. And children just love it as well. Here's an article about building your garden up for wildlife and your landscape. It's naturalist gardening.
What should I plant is the most frequently asked question I receive from people who'd like to attract more wildlife to their gardens. We have already discussed the top 10 woody plants to attract wildlife to your ecosystem garden. Now we delve into the best herbaceous species. These plants have been chosen based on a study by Doug Ptolemy and Kimberly Shropshire, who painstakingly reviewed a mountain of scientific literature to determine the amount to which Lepidopteran species used various plants. Lepidoptera, butterflies and moths are among the most studied insects, making them an easy choice in determining plant use by insects. Plant use by butterflies and moths is correlated with high usage by other insects and wildlife as well. To find the most appropriate native species of each of these families of plants, the USDA Plants Database and the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center Plants Database are the best resources. Search for each family and then use the range maps on plant descriptions to choose species that are the best match for your area and conditions. Drum roll please. Here's the 10 best herbaceous plants for your wildlife garden. Goldenrod, Solidago, support 115 species. 125 goldenrod species occur throughout the U.S. Goldenrod is used by many insects and spiders and birds who feed on the seeds and insects. No autumn garden is complete without several species of goldenrod bending in the breeze. Aster, support 112 species. This is a huge family, with species that thrive in prairie, meadow, pasture, roadside, and woodland environments. There are both spring and fall blooming species, which means that you should choose a wide variety of species. Try to avoid the cultivars and opt instead for true native species. The asters provide abundant pollen and nectar for bees and butterflies and are a wonderful choice for any wildlife garden. Sunflower, Helianthus, support 73 species. When thinking of sunflowers, it is common to call the large-headed, many-seeded annual cultivars to mind, but there are many native perennial species as well. The plants provide lots of nectar and pollen, and the seeds are eaten by many birds and other wildlife. Try a mix of native perennial species with several annual species as well. Joe Pye, Eupatorium, support 42 species. Joe Pye is one of the best native alternatives for invasive butterfly bush, and includes boneset, snakeroot, and many species of Joe Pye. They produce a lot of nectar and pollen, making them an excellent choice for a pollinator garden. Morning Glory Ipomoa, support 39 species. You must be very careful with Morning Glory because there are many introduced varieties which can be extremely invasive. When choosing a Morning Glory for your garden, it must be native to your area, or you will regret planting it. Please research your choice very carefully. Check with the Native Plant Society in your state for guidance. Sedges, Carex, support 36 species. Many native...
Let's stop right there. There'll be the link to this article where you can read the rest of this article at the website that hosts this article. It's a great article. 10 plants that you can use and put in your garden and your landscape to attract wildlife. Awesome. You know, what they're talking about is invasive plants. There's a lot of foreign plants that get introduced into a landscape and even in the garden that are considered invasive. They'll just take over, and they don't help the wildlife in your area. If you check out the native plants for your area, it will help the wildlife tremendously. And as I said, in the wild, the wildlife are losing their habitat. More habitat is lost each and every day as we pave over paradise and put up a parking lot. But we can bring back some wildlife into our lives. Even if you live in an apartment, if you put out on your balcony a pot of plants, of flowering plants that attract hummingbirds or bees or butterflies, you can bring a place, a habitat for the wildlife that might be passing by. They'll zoom in on your container garden, even if it's in a high-rise apartment, and you have, let's say, 20 pots outside on your balcony with flowering plants, plants that have berries that wildlife love. And, of course, you can grow your own strawberries and tomatoes and things for yourself to eat. But let's say you're not interested in growing your own food to eat. Well, you can have a little wildlife habitat even out on your balcony for the wildlife that may find itself in the city. And once you attract the insects, then you may get some birds coming in to eat the insects, so that you can form an ecosystem right there and bring the wildlife into your life, even if you live in the city. Naturalist gardening, naturalist landscaping, if we can just return a little bit of the habitat that we destroy, we can make the life of the animals around us a little bit better, a little bit easier. And we destroy so much of their habitat and their routine that returning as much as we can back to them is such a wonderful, loving gesture. Thank you for listening to this episode of In the Homestead Garden. I hope you get some native plants and put them on your property. Even if it's in the city and you're planting in pots, in containers, you can bring back and you can give back to life with a naturalist garden and landscape. Till next time, this has been In the Homestead Garden.